Hey, welcome back to the Morning Brew. Larry Aarons here, Greg Mays co-hosting this week, and our next guest join us. This is going to be a very interesting segment. I want to welcome back to the show an old friend, Judy Lawrence. She is a financial coach, and you're very active in that field, and you do a lot of blogging and things like that, and we're going to talk a little bit about a blog post you wrote about creative living spaces.
Right.
Also want to introduce Sky Carlisle. Sky is a social entrepreneur, digital media guy, among other things.
Of course, yeah.
Good to have you here, Sky.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Interesting collaboration.
Yes.
So fill us in. What are we going to talk about today?
Well, I do personal finance, but I've been doing articles on my blog related to personal finance, more in the area of repurposing, because I love repurposing. So this last one is called, is there room in there, or is there space in there for me? So I talk about 3 different unusual structures that are converted into living spaces, one of them being silos, grain silos, another being water towers, and then another being shipping containers. And with the shipping containers, I wanted to bring in the local story, which would be what Sky will talk about as far as how we're using local shipping containers. So in the blog, you know, when I talk about the different places for a living, I was fascinated when I read about the silos. Like, I'm from the Midwest. Have you ever been, do you know what a silo is?
Yeah, you know, I've seen pictures. I'm an Albuquerque local.
Yes.
So.
and you know, the corn, silage, and all that stuff in the silos. But when I read that they had taken silos, this is in Oregon, it's in wine country, and this couple bought this 82-acre farm, and they turned it into a bed and breakfast, and they took these silos, moved them together, and now it's a bed and breakfast with beautiful views of the winery. And the woman was saying, it's by John and Judy Stewart, they were saying it's probably the largest thermos because they had foam insulation blown in the interior of it.
Wow.
Is this the B&B?
That's the B&B out in Oregon. It's a beautiful
So I can stay in the silo?
and have beautiful views.
360-degree views, right?
Exactly. That was the whole design of it. It's very green as well. So it's a very fun, interesting story.
That's great. But that, to your point about repurposing.
The whole idea is they wanted to repurpose, and they were stuck with these structures, like how do you repurpose something and make it useful and use green in the process? So it's very energy efficient. So that was one story about silos, which I thought was very unusual. Then another one was water towers, and learning that water towers, the interesting thing with them is they're historical landmarks. You can't just wipe out a water tower, and especially in Europe, there's quite a few of them, and they've converted them into multi-purpose buildings, they've converted them into housing, they've converted them into meeting centers. There's one on the Pacific coast that has a beautiful place, like a 5-bedroom.
Is that the house right there?
I'm not sure which one. I think that might be one of the ones on the Pacific. I'm not sure.
The palm tree, I'm guessing, basically.
That's probably the one, yes. And so that was quite interesting.
Don't have those here either.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We don't have, right. But it was quite an interesting repurpose of a water tower. And then the third one was the shipping containers. And it got my interest because there are about 35 million shipping containers out there, and they are active for anywhere from a decade to 2 decades. And then ultimately these 2.5-ton chunks of steel are then ending up in the landfill. So of course that's what I'm always interested in. How do we repurpose something like that? So I started hearing about all these interesting ways they're repurposing shipping containers. Starbucks has a drive-through in Washington State. They took 4 of them, put them together, and turned it into a drive-through. And Las Vegas, Nevada has a shopping center made out of containers. There's this, again in California, there's this luxury home made out of about 8 shipping containers.
Wow.
So it's quite a variety and quite an interesting way that you can repurpose something. And then this particular picture is the University of Amsterdam. It started off as temporary housing, thinking, what can we do? But it turned out to be so successul that they just kept it.
Those are shipping containers. And
Those are all
Sky,
shipping containers.
you're involved in a project, and we have photos of it. This is a power company, nonprofit?
It's actually a nonprofit that's local to here, started in 2003, called Endorphin Power Company.
Okay.
And it's a transitional living facility for people that have suffered from substance abuse or homelessness.
I see.
And so the shipping containers actually was created as an idea, as a donation from a local, just Ted Waterman, one-man show, very well known in society, and he has a great name. And so he actually donated 48 shipping containers to the county, 20 to us, and we were able to build a housing facility out of those to house.
Now we have the photos
people.
of this project.
Correct. Yes.
Okay, this is
There
it.
it is.
Yeah, so this is in the build. This is 2007 to 2008. We received 20 units and connected them with 2 community rooms. And so we actually have 20 single occupancy living facilities that people can live in inside the transitional living facility.
Yeah, where's this located?
So yeah, it's at 509 Cardenas. So we're actually 4 blocks east of the Zuni and San Mateo.
Huh.
And,
And you would never know they were shipping containers.
You would never know. Yeah, we had some additional pictures as well. Not sure if you have those towards the end, but we, the community came together, 20 teams of people, about 5 to 6 person teams, so about 100, 150 people came together to rebuild and repurpose those shipping containers that the Army had donated to Ted Waterman, and then Ted Waterman had donated directly back into the community. And from the outside, it just looks like a normal, a house, housing apartment.
The finished images look just like any other building here in Albuquerque. That's great.
You never know.
What's the material? What's the shipping containers made out of? It's a little hard to tell.
Yeah, so the Army actually shipping containers. Ted Waterman, of course, doing a lot in the construction industry himself, repurposed them into housing units. So insulated them, rebuilt it, but the inside was in an Army storage container. Wow. Same thing that they would normally use. So again, that 1/4 inch to 3 inch plated steel, heavy shipping container, and then repurposed directly into housing. So.
Boy, that's great.
Yeah.
So I think the biggest question of all may be why. Why do we take these kind of old stuff and not just toss it out or whatever? You've hinted at that a little bit. I'll let you talk to it.
Well, do we want them in our landfill is part of the question.
Yeah.
And that's the big issue. And it really brings in a lot of creativity. How to be green, how to be energy efficient, how to do something with these things and not be wasting them. And I think that what you've done in the community, tell them about not only the containers for housing, but how you're using the energy from the biking.
Yeah. So Endorphin Power Company was established by a gentleman named Sam Schlichtman, who saw a subculture of people that were continuously going either into the ER and were inebriated and using resources that could otherwise be better utilized. And so we wanted to create a system for that, powered with the community of Bernalillo County. Actually, the county started the MATS program, which is to help people get sober, and then Endorphin Power Company is to help people stay sober. And so we built an entire community center around it with a public access gym at the same time too. Rooms that are there for Zumba, and we have a spin class. Like she mentioned, the energy conservation is part of it, and so we have solar panels on top of the housing facility now that power the grid, and then we have exercycles, so all of our spin classes power the grid as well. Community garden, so it's a little of everything that put it all together. It's a good package.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's a nice contribution for sure. Yeah.
This is what this show's about, finding this cool stuff that goes on in our community.
I know.
It's
I'll have
really
to keep my eye out for that facility.
We've got to wrap it up, but Judy, it's good to see you. Sky, come back and we'll talk some more about this another time, okay?
Of course.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys.
All right, thank you. Judy Lawrence and Sky Carlisle with us about repurposing. I think it's a great topic. We'll be back with a final cup on the Morning Brew in just a moment.